Yo, what's good, everyone? And welcome back to the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. Week 1 is officially here. Hard Knocks is over. The preseason's over. Our depth chart is all set. It's officially game week. We're worried about injuries and hamstrings, and I couldn't be happier to be worried about the doctor injury reports. As we always do every single year, we have our main man, GMAC / Andrew Claudio, depending on where you listen or where you, if you listen to him kind of in the background of Knicks Film School, if you listen to him in the front of Knicks Film School, you have different names for him. He's also the host of a Mets pod, and he's got everything going. You guys all know him. What up, Andrew? Thank you for showing up on the inaugural Week 1 episode once again to give us our ridiculous predictions of the whole schedule, which means absolutely nothing by Week 6. But nevertheless, what's up? How are you, man?
John, Greg, it is an honor to be here with you, especially under the circumstances, to talk about this football team that I'm sure we will be rational and measured and not at all emotional about our projections about the upcoming season. How are you fellows doing?
Dude, doing good. Like you said, just trying to reel it in a little bit. Trying to, all preseason, all offseason, I've had my time to get the bets in, get the predictions in. Now, as we get closer, just trying to get a little bit more measured, as you said, but it's hard to do. It's hard to do this year, Andrew.
You ain't kidding. You ain't kidding. I'll start here. Let me start here. So, let me tell you a quick story. So, you guys both have iPhones?
Oh, yeah.
You know the countdown feature, not like the actual watch, but you can like set a countdown and then there's a widget that counts something down like to a specific date. So I've only ever done 4 countdowns on my phone using that feature and put the widget on the screen. It takes up takes up 2 rows of icons, right? 2 rows of apps. So the first one, my wife now, but soon to be fiance at the time, was when I counted down to when I was going to propose. Then after we set the date, it was a second countdown to our wedding day. Then it was a quick 16-day countdown to our honeymoon. And I want to show you guys what the fourth countdown ended up being. Let me see if it shows up on the screen. Let's see. Jets football.
There it is.
There it is.
I mean, it's not as extravagant as your wedding countdown, where every day you would have jersey numbers of New York sports players.
That's very true. That is very true. So someone follows me on Instagram and saw that. You know how many people at my wedding party, that, especially on my wife's side, had no idea? I was like, why did he put up a random basketball player? It's Allen Houston. There's 20 days to your wedding. That's what it is.
We know he likes basketball, but what is he?
He's putting up a different baseball player every day. Like, what is this? Yeah, so those you know, I to count down the days to my wedding, I'd put up a different baseball player or whoever, a New York athlete that coincided with the amount of days leading up to the wedding. So can you tell I was excited? But I don't know if it matches the excitement of this Jets opener on Monday. Thankfully, my wife is out of the house and didn't hear it.
Yeah, just a quick note. We're going to move off that. But Greg, I just want you to know that he used Derek Jeter when it was 2 days left. Anyway, so
did you see the picture I used for Derek Jeter?
It doesn't matter. I used
Derek Jeter fielding the throw from no, Greg, hear me out. I used Derek Jeter waiting for the throw from second base as Dave Roberts was stealing second in the 04 ALCS.
Okay.
So it was a tribute to Jeter. He's the most iconic number 2, and
True.
I also made sure that I recognized the moment of his career that I remember the most.
Yeah, probably the most important part of his career, I would
say. Yes.
Definitely the most memorable.
That 7-game series against the Red Sox where he bat 200 over 7 games while the Yankees completed the greatest.
All right.
This is the etc. in Knicks Jets etc.
All right. He used the Jeter number 2. That's just the note we wanted to make. Moving on, council.
Yeah.
Moving on to. And I have to do this, guys. I know we want to talk about the Bills. I know we want to talk about the depth chart. I know we're going to get into the schedule. But can we just talk about Hard Knocks real quick? I mean, Claudio, you are the executive producer. You know what it is to be behind the scenes exclusively. You've seen One Jets Drive, and now you've seen Hard Knocks. There was so much hoopla about the Jets don't want them, and then there was more hoopla about how the Jets don't want to show people getting cut. and then they kind of did this nice little twist, which I know you're the movie guy too, Claudio. I know you appreciate this, where they showed made the team, right? So all of a sudden it went from this whirlwind to the Jets, are this terrible organization that they can't even handle cameras, to now all of a sudden it's too good of a production and it's all hoopla anyway. So Claudio, where do you stand on One Jets Drive, Hard Knocks, the entire preseason, besides the additions and subtractions to the team? Just where do you stand, like, with the actual outside narrative of the team? Let's call it.
Well, so One Jets Drive doesn't get to be called an outside narrative because
Yeah,
it's literally a production created by the franchise. Yes. And that's the word I'd probably use, Greg, is propaganda, because as far as One Jets Drive is concerned, I think it gave you more of what you wanted if you were just like only focused on the Jets. For Hard Knocks, as a general football fan, and I caught this from most of, I did like a small poll of all the non-Jets fans in my life, and I the reviews were not great. That it was very much like, where's the intrigue? Like, what the thing you tune in for Hard Knocks for are the end of the series guys, and we don't really we knew who Tenzel Smart was because of the charcuterie board reference in episode 1. Yeah. But there was never really any who's going to make the 53 until episode 4, episode 5, when you start to meet his family, when you start to meet Izzy's family before he gets hurt. And then going into this episode, when you see the interview that Joe Douglas did with what's his name? Chris Long, of a Hoop Friend of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. When you see the interview you did with him, they didn't want to show clips of guys getting cut. You were curious where it was going for episode 5, because they weren't going to have a game featured at all in this episode. I'm glad you bring up the twist of Tenzel showing up on the practice squad, because your heart does break when they don't show the moment of him getting cut. But then you see him walking out the building, you see him shaking hands and, saying final hugs. And then they actually get him to speak on camera. And then about 15 minutes later, he walks through the door and shows up on the practice squad, and they get to go to Broadway together for the Thriller on Broadway. And it was perfect for me. Like, I understand every non-Jets fan is like, this is kind of mid, and I probably would agree this is kind of mid. But to any Jets fan, this was just pornography at its finest for every single thing you wanted out of this team. And as far as the hype, I've done everything I possibly can to manage my expectations, but every single time I try to take it all in stride. They have a tough division, a tough schedule. I have questions about the offensive line. I have questions about the coaching staff. They're not guaranteed anything with a 40-year-old quarterback. There's so many different things to give you pause. Then there's a throw that you see in a preseason game. And then there's a projection from a person I trust about how good the Jets are going to be this year. And then there's hi Mensa. Then there's all these different things that just help you to lean into the hype and get your expectations up, that I have to declare. And all my years watching sports, I'm watching the Jets since 98, the Mets since 97, the Knicks since 99, and the Rangers since like the mid 2000s. This is the most excited I've ever been for a sports team that I've watched, a season for a sports team that I've watched. I've never been this excited for what could potentially happen this season. This has the chance to be the most fun I've ever had watching a sports team of mine play. And I'm doing my very best to manage that expectation, but the propaganda and the hype machine has been successful over the last 4 preseason games and over the past several months.
That's what scares the absolute hell out of me. How even someone like you who has been torn down from every single angle when it comes to New York sports is this excited. That's really the one big thing that scares me. And number 2 is obviously the health of everyone, but everyone has that same problem. Greg, what are your thoughts on Hard Knocks, man? We never got a full, let's just get some closure here so we could just move on, because there was so much negativity around the Jets.
Yeah, I agree with Andrew on a lot of stuff. I think that one thing they could have, I think, leaned into a little bit more from like a football fan perspective, if we weren't getting the storylines, was more of like the coaching room, the team rooms, the team meetings, that stuff. Like we got bits and pieces. I could have done, as a Jets fan, 20 minutes of Robert Saleh talking to the team every time. That would have been fine with me because I loved the speeches that he was given.
Are you the eagle or the crow, Greg?
Yeah, but even the like quarterback room when they were like going over with like Tim Boyle, Zach Wilson, Rodgers, talking about like, is this a handoff or is it not? And they're kind of guessing on what it's going to be. More little stuff like that just to kind of show what it's like to be in one of these rooms. Obviously can't go over the X's and O's, but just stuff like that I thought would have been a lot cooler to see more than a lot of the off-field stuff. I get that's what Hard Knocks is. I just wish they attached to a couple guys earlier, like Xavier Gibson and Brownlee. Like they kind of got a lot of talk and a lot of camera time in like episode 4 and 5. I wish maybe there was a little bit of like stuff in episode 1 or 2 to kind of get that storyline throughout the whole season instead of kind of right at the end. But thought it was a phenomenal thing. Same with One Jets Drive. Thought it was great this season. It's incredible to see how far we've come as an organization to have these production crews and these series that we have going on. Hard Knocks wanted to come here and see what's going on, and also to see the other side of Aaron Rodgers. Like going into the season with Aaron Rodgers, you hear a lot of stuff from a lot of people around the league. Well, he doesn't like this. He's this type of way. He's that type of way. He treats people like this. Just to see him and get a camera on him, knowing what it's like to be, in the locker room or in the huddle with him. It's pretty cool to see the way he's with the young guys, the way he's with the coaching staff, and the way he's with the organization. So awesome, excited, trying to temper it, trying to calm down. It's tough to do, though. It's like Andrew said, it's the most excited I've been for a season. And I think rightfully so. I mean, 4-time MVP. We're talking about the best quarterback we've ever had as a franchise. Guys want to come and play here. Aaron Rodgers took a pay cut, the largest pay cut in the 4 major sports in the history for the New York Jets. If you told me that 3 years ago, I was, what planet are you on? So very excited, just trying to cool off, trying to calm down. The Bills are the division champs reigning. So we have to handle business week 1 and then take it from there. It's a long mountain up to the top of Everest, as Robert Saleh says. We're only at base camp.
Yeah, and speaking of the Bills, shout out to 635 Smoke. Yo, are you gonna? I met him. He's Bills Mafia. Met him up at last game. We were talking. We had a little talk a little smack before the game. I was trying to be humble as possible. I said, just give me the 10.5. Just give me the double digits with no Poyer, with no Milano. He said, no, we're gonna beat you by more than double digits. We ended up winning the game. Met him up in the parking lot after. Had a great time. He said he's going to be at the game this Monday. Claudio's also going to be at this game on Monday. So maybe we'll all have a nice little reunion in the parking lot. 635 Smoke, hit me up in my DMs. We'll make sure to meet up in the parking lot and just, catch up like old friends, Bills Mafia, coming back for more. I love it. I love that you lost to Zach Wilson and you're coming back more for Aaron Rodgers. That makes me excited.
635 Smoke, are you from Canada? Are you from up there? Are you from up north? Or is he from locally?
No, he's from Buffalo. He comes up. He comes down for the MetLife game every year.
Gotcha. Okay. I refer to anything north of like White Plains as Canada.
Canada.
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean,
it's my 2 cents.
I don't know what's worse, Buffalo or Canada. I mean,
if you move the border over 6 miles, they're the same thing.
Greg, he said you live in Canada. But
I know he's a guest, though. He's a guest.
I'm a guest. It's okay. Listen, you chose the right team, so you can be honorable to be down here. Okay, yep. I will declare you an honorary New Yorker for this episode. There you go.
No, appreciate it. I honestly, I love Bills Mafia, especially when they come into MetLife. They've owned us for the most part, but we are back. And honestly, we'll get into the depth chart. We'll get into the schedule. But I can't go any further, guys. It's week 1. It's Wednesday. Like there's football's tomorrow. Well, we don't have to get into we don't have to get into Chris Jones. We don't care about that. Our guys are here. Our guys are healthy. It's week 1. It's Jets Bills. It's Monday Night Football. It's September 11th in New York. The lights are already up right now in the city. The beams early this year. What's up, Claudio?
No, just one more thing about Hard Knocks. Robert Saleh, like. The amount of times he referred to week 1 as just, I need you guys to be ready for September 11th. I don't want you, Aaron Rodgers, to your first game in MetLife to be September 11th. Like, guys, when is week 1? September 11th. Oh, you can't forget September 11th. Oh, I would never forget September 11th. Just the Robert Saleh, you have to recognize being in New York that you can't just say September 11th, and we all will think week 1. Like, you have to recognize the significance of it. That's all. It was just it's a minor nitpick about the show. I think in the subtitles too, anytime he'd say that too, they would put week 1. Like, by the way, he's referring to week 1. What you're supposed to be remembering in this situation is week 1.
That is actually funny, especially because he got the Sopranos treatment, just driving to the stadium.
My gosh. Yes, my wife and I are so shameful admission. I'd never seen The Sopranos. My wife and I are going through the show right now, and we now recognize the significance of the Robert Saleh drive into MetLife as he's going the exact same route that Tony Soprano would take, although different route, to be honest. But now
and why people would be offended. You see how people would be offended at that?
Exactly. It was. I loved it. I loved it.
All right, yo, 635 Smoke, hit me up before you go, so we'll make sure we'll meet up in the parking lot. But yeah, let's get to this week 1 preview because the Jets are underdogs. It's +2.5. Okay, we're back to reality here. Von Miller is not playing. That's a huge deal. On the other side of the ball, Claudio, you were worried about our offensive line. I don't want to eat the propaganda candy. However, I'm starting to think maybe Joe Douglas is kind of right that he's not worried about the offensive line because they have like dogs. They have absolute dogs on the offensive line. Like right now, as it stands, the offensive line on paper is unbelievable. The fact that Mekhi Becton's at right tackle, Dwayne Brown's at left, and then we have, an all-pro right guard, AVT at right guard. We have Laken Tomlinson at left, who should be good with an actual left tackle, and McGovern, who could hopefully snap the ball, right? Like that's really all he needs to do. He needs to call out coverage and snap the ball. I mean, I'm actually really excited about it. I think that 2.5 is disrespectful. Like, we're talking about the hype for the Jets. I'm talking about how, we should temper our expectations because something's weird. 2.5 plus 2.5, it's -3, right? So that means it's -3 at home normally. It's +2.5 for the Jets. So we're giving on a neutral field the Bills 5.5. We beat them last year at MetLife with Zach Wilson and nobody, like absolutely nobody. I mean, our defense got better, right? So I'm just talking, some recency bias from last season, just how the season's been going. Forget Aaron Rodgers, forget all that. The 2.5 is disrespectful. Somebody walk me off that ledge.
I can't do it, John. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, dude, it's not even that. Just take it a little step farther. Looking at the money, I know this isn't a gambling podcast. Check out Winning Picks Weekly. We'll go over all the picks, including this one. 82% of the money is on the Buffalo Bills.
That's crazy.
Like, I get that they're the defending champs. I understand it, but at home, week 1, Aaron Rodgers, the team's healthy. They have injuries. I get Carl Lawson a little banged up. We're not sure exactly what he's going to do. We have 11 guys on the defensive line. They need Von Miller. Like, they need Micah Hyde, who showed up today on the injury report at safety. So I can't walk you off the ledge, man. 2.5 points, I think, is crazy. To be underdogs, I think, is crazy. We beat them last year. Jermaine Johnson with the clutch sack on Josh Allen. The reason why he's here looks well more improved from last season.
The reason why Josh Allen's hurt because of that exact hit, that UCL injury.
I don't want to bring that up, but yes, possibly. We don't know exactly, but maybe. But Jermaine Johnson's here for a reason. He looks stronger, faster, bigger than ever. I think we're going to get to Josh Allen. I think it's going to be a problem for him this Monday.
So, I think the Jets are going to win this game. I'm not
That's crazy talk coming from you, Claudio, because you're usually the negative, pessimistic one. You have 0-6 coming out of the gate.
Well, so they kind of have to win this game for me to have any type of continued optimism. And if they match the hype and this mirrors something, because I think the Jets this year are going to be similar to the Niners of 2019, just with a significantly better quarterback. I think the Jets are going to win this game. I think every health trend that you're looking at is trending Jets significantly healthier than the Bills going into this. I'm not as aggrieved by the line as you guys are. I understand the Jets are home. There is that built-in they're the Jets narrative, though. And as you guys have mentioned, these are the defending division champs. of the last several seasons. And this is a team that who knows what happens in the rest of that game. But if DeMar Hamlin doesn't have what happened to him happen, they may be the 1 seed last year. So as much as I think the Jets and Bills have had their margins close, I do respect that the Bills are favored in this game, especially since this is just a line that Vegas set. Like, who knows what the betting trends are trending toward? If anything, I'm probably going to put some action on the Jets. I'm not sure this is going to be the game that will test the Jets offensive line in the way that I'd like it to, which, it could just be 1 week until we play the Cowboys and then we'll see. But I think this has a chance to be a party on Monday night. And man, if the Jets match the hype of what's in that building, and then we get something like a 31-17 win, and it's just so very clear that the Jets are for real, then the next 6 days will be even more crazy than what the last 3 months have been, because then the hype just goes up to another level.
And that's the thing, man. It seems when I open the television, when I read an article, it seems like the hype is everywhere. But then I don't know. We have 65 Smoke. I know he's Bills Mafia. I know he's just hyped about the game. He thinks that Aaron Rodgers sucked last year. That's the narrative that I'm hearing from everyone. Aaron Rodgers sucked last year. The Jets even beat them at Lambeau, right? So I mean, this is what I'm weirded out by, Claudio, is if we're so worried about being too hype and there's too much hoopla around the Jets, and at the same time 80% of the money is on the Bills and they are favored on the road without Von Miller. I mean, what else do we want? Milano's come back for his game. Poyer's come back for his game. I know I'm apparently eating, the hype. I'm taking the candy here.
You're drinking the Kool-Aid. I see you.
And
I'm drinking it too.
We're gonna do a lot of that. I mean, you don't have no idea. I mean, 65 Smoke has us going 1-3. He should shut off this podcast because the schedule prediction is gonna go real bad for him when I start going off about what I think. But do you guys have any last thoughts on this week 1 preview? I can't believe we're here. I mean, I need gameplay. I need to watch the tape after. I need instant reactions on Tuesday. And that's where my question is before we move on. Claudio, you have a 31-17, so I think I already know where you're going with this, with your instant reactions on Tuesday. You said the hype is going to be real. Next 6 days are going to be a party. We're going to be talking about the Cowboys and whether or not our offensive line was truly tested versus the Bills and what's going to happen versus the Cowboys.
I think the tough part about me with the O-line, because you mentioned the spin of what Joe Douglas has said, how he's not worried about the O-line, and Becton's now at right tackle, and they have AVT coming back off injury. Did they face a starting defensive line in the preseason? Have we seen this offensive line be tested? Because I didn't think we did in either of the 4 games.
Not with our starters, because Becton only played the last game at right, and the Giants didn't start.
So that's my question, is now having that untested front 5 be protecting your 40-year-old quarterback. Look, I think this team has a lot of talent in every single room that they're in. Like you go to the wide receiver room, I do think there's room for improvement, and we'll see what these 2 rookies do. We'll see if they make a trade for some wide receiver that becomes available, but they have the offensive rookie of the year on their team. In the corner room, you have Reed, who's like a top 5 corner, and you have Sauce, who might be a top 1 corner. On the defensive line, you have Q, who is like right below Aaron Donald and in that conversation. And then you have all of these edge rushers with so much hype, and you have so much elite talent everywhere that has it trending in the direction of a passing of the torch, which is why I think this game could be seen as a small passing of the torch with what's going on in Buffalo this offseason. This is the natural progression of football. Your run is usually about 4 years, and last year was year 4 for the Bills. So I'm curious if this is the year that we see the wear and tear of late playoff runs and just the binds of the rubber band ball start to loosen, and have a new team like the Jets be ready to take the reins for a little bit.
Your voice to God's ear. Greg, what are your narratives for Tuesday, September 12th, baby?
I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. 6-3-5 Smoke brought up too. Trey White's back. Like the Bills are healthier than we've seen them in the past few years. D line too. You guys are talking about like, is the offensive line going to be tested? He pointed out the D line's better than people think. I agree with that. I think the Buffalo front seven. I know Von Miller's not there. I still think they're pretty good. They have a lot of high draft capital there, a lot of good players. So
Oliver Count.
Yeah,
as a high draft capital guy, but okay.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some tests. To Claudio's point too, our offensive line is rusty. Like these guys haven't had a lot of experience all playing where they're playing, haven't had a lot of experience playing together, haven't had a lot of experience with Aaron Rodgers in this play calling style. Like they talked about using the cadence as a weapon. That can backfire on a team. That can backfire on a team that's not ready for it. So I think it's going to be low. I think it's going to be like close. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but I think we're going to get the job done. I think we're going to run a lot more than people think. I think a lot of people think Aaron Rodgers is going to come out here and throw the ball over the yard. I think with Dalvin Cook in there, Breece Hall, I don't know how much he's going to be utilized, but I think it's going to be slow, methodical. Just get out of there with a win no matter what, and we'll move on to week 2, get the season rocking and rolling.
Can't wait. 635 Smoke says in his
this guy's a fourth co-host at this point. Wow,
in his Bart Scott voice, though. I just wanted to note that.
Yeah.
All right. So Claudio, you mentioned something about wide receivers and the wide receiver room, and especially because Xavier Gibson, he's the one that made the team. On the depth chart, he's listed as an or with another wide receiver that we signed in McCole Hardman, right? So we have some question marks here when it comes to what's going on at wide receiver, who's really taking the reins because special teams matters. We have Brownlee that made the team. And then today we have something really interesting going on. We had the Jets bring in Kenny Golladay and Jeff Smith and another wide receiver, which I've never heard of. So I'm just not even going to talk about it. But Jeff Smith, old foe, old friend, let's say, and Kenny Golladay. I mean, sure, there might be a trade imminent around the trade deadline with guys such as Devontae Adams, with guys such as Mike Evans. Sure, we're reaching for the stars there. But do you anticipate movement in the wide receiver room? And honestly, why are we bringing in more wide receivers, especially veterans? Like, we're not signing Golladay to be on the practice squad. Jeff Smith, I can understand you trying to convince him, to hang out on the practice squad for a little bit. But
yeah,
you're bringing in Kenny Golladay off that ridiculous contract. What is there a reason for that, guys? You guys think the trade is imminent at the deadline for a wide receiver?
I don't know about imminent, but I think it's very clear that they have a clear number one, and the way to maximize your window with Aaron, with Mr. Rodgers, is to go all in if you have the chance to go all in. And I don't know about Kenny Golladay. I think like bringing someone in for a workout is more just a formality, like doing your due diligence, which I think this front office does a good job of. The name I've been circling, I'm sure every Jets fan is circling, is Devontae Adams. And whether or not his Aaron Rodgers' former teammate that he won 2 MVPs with becomes available will be a question. And if the Raiders are trending in a direction and Mr. Brady is not coming out of retirement, do they decide to pull the plug? This is why Aaron took less, and the weapon that they added was a running back and potentially his other wide receiver. So that's just, I think there's room for that type of trade. And then why do you make a move like that? Because then you have Devontae Adams on the other side of Garrett Wilson, and then all of these other number 3 wide receivers fall right into their slots, like pun intended,
I think we could sign someone now and trade for someone later. I don't think it's mutually exclusive. I think that Mecole Hardman might be a little banged up more than people realize. So there could be a need for a real wide receiver 2 here. I think Randall Cobb's going to be involved a lot more than he has been in the past few years, and people realize. So I think he's going to be more involved. Dude, Brownlee looked pretty good, man. I know he had that one catch that went viral on Twitter. Everyone was talking about it, but even besides that, he had some flashes. So as a bigger body outside guy, we need someone like that. We thought it was going to be Corey Davis. We need these guys to step up. I think even if we sign someone, doesn't mean that we're not going to trade for someone at the deadline. I just don't think anything's pressing right now. I think that you, as an organization, if you're Las Vegas, Tampa Bay, or any of these other teams, it's really tough to trade someone going into the season, especially a star player, because I think that just signals to your whole the 100 people you have in there that, hey, we're not really trying to win this season. You can't do that before week 1. So let the season progress, like Claudio said. Let's see how the Raiders do, Tampa Bay do, a few other teams do. Once we get to the 1-5, 2-4 point of the season, maybe pick up the phone and try to get something done.
I mean, as a Jets fan, having to root against Jimmy Garoppolo and Tom Brady and McDaniels in Vegas, and also a root against Todd Bowles in Tampa, where Tom Brady just was. I mean, it doesn't get any easier.
It's crazy.
Like, it's beautiful. Like, just root against those two teams. Everyone, and root against everyone in the AFC, especially in the AFC East. And we're gonna move on here. Last quick question, and it's gonna be pertinent in this, and when it comes to the schedule prediction, in my opinion. Greg, you mentioned a little bit concern about Breece Hall. They talked about limiting him a little bit. Claudio, are you worried about Breece Hall?
The ACL injury is a 2-year injury in my mind, which is why I think they went out and got Dalvin Cook. I think it's why Michael Carter is still going to play such a featured role in this offense. It's why they're gonna use him as a bell cow. You know, he's not gonna be like he kind of split his carries last year. Most frustrating season last year, having him in fantasy, where he'd get to the 1. All right, Michael Carter, get in the game and get the touchdown. And it's like, what are we doing here? Like I got him for this, especially if you're not just fantasy purposes, but gambling purposes. If all your props are like Breece Hall 2 touchdowns, and it's like go. Oh, you're down at the 1. Michael Carter comes in and gets a touchdown. I remember the Dolphin game, but enough. But I digress. I'm not worried, to be honest. I think they're going to be smart, and they've constructed the roster in a way that allows them to bring him along slowly. This is going to be weird for us because this is not familiar territory, but this is a Jets team with 20 game expectations, not 17 game expectations. So to see him be brought along slowly will be like, hey, why isn't he playing? It might not be a reason to sound the alarm. It might just be, you know, a marathon, not a sprint calculation.
All right.
Yeah.
Without further ado, let's get into the 2023 New York Jets full schedule prediction. And shout out to our other co-hosts on Winning Picks Weekly. Check him out tomorrow. We'll be on for the college pick. When are you guys going to talk about Duke football? Give the people what they want. Everybody wants Clemson to lose, Chip. We're all happy here. Don't you worry, my friend.
7:30 tomorrow night. You can check us out live. We'll be talking about it.
We're talking about FSU specifically.
I'm happy for you, Chip. Specifically you, my friend Chip. That's a Duke fan. I'm not the biggest, so I think I don't know what I was rooting for in that game, like potentially like a Black Sunday situation. But going forward, I hope you find happiness in football. There you go.
He had a great week 1 of college football. So yeah, tune in tomorrow for that. And guys, I think we could all circle in green week 1, 9-11, beat the Bills. I think we
predictions, John. Do you want to go that granular with week 1 and then for the rest of them just say win or loss?
I'm okay with that.
That works.
17-13 Jets.
31-17 Jets.
My prediction for the Jets Bills will always and continue to be 22-17. I will never change it as long as I live. Okay. Week 2, Claudio, you mentioned it. Jets going to Jerry World.
Win.
However, it's different this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's Aaron Rodgers going to McCarthy land. Like that's how I see it. I don't care about the defensive line. I don't care about the offensive line. I don't care about anything. Aaron Rodgers will not lose to Mike McCarthy. I don't care what the spread is. I don't care where we're playing. I don't care who's on the team. So I'm taking that win. I'm going 2-0 right off the bat. And I told you guys it's going to get delusional up in here. But for me, I'm starting off at 2-0.
I'm also starting off at 2-0. For similar reasons that you spoke about, the narrative around that game is going to be McCarthy against Rodgers, and I am taking the Jets and Rodgers' new team and his new weapons. That I have no idea how to evaluate the Cowboys because I think they're in a similar position as the Jets in that they have a ton of talent, and then they're like the regular season is usually where they shine. So I don't think this is going to be a lost season, but there's this New York back to MAC that they're playing where that's either like there's a world where they're 0-2 or 2-0, and it's like, oh yeah, but all they did was play the Jets and Giants. Like how do you overreact to? I know they're not playing in New York or New Jersey for both of those games, but I'm curious what we'll find out about them through those two games. I think the Jets win this game in a version of a shootout, like 31-28. I don't want to keep saying the Jets scored 31 points, but like 27-24, that kind of matchup. And this is a close game at the end. Rodgers kind of owns that building too. He's had like playoff wins there. He's had insane regular season performances there. So, and they've all like ended with big late fourth quarter drives that end in a field goal. So I wonder if this is an Aaron Rodgers coming out party and a reminder, I'm still him as far as a week 2 overreaction. So I'll go Jets 27-24 in this one.
Yeah, I like the Jets in this one too. I mean, I think the Dallas offensive line's a little banged up going into the season as Zach Martin has contract issues, got that figured out, but didn't have a full OTAs and everything. They have weapons. I just don't know to the degree of what the weapons are. Like CeeDee Lamb is very good. I don't know about the rest of the wide receivers. I guess Brandon Cooks, he's pretty good and he's bounced around from team to team and has had success in every stop he's had. Don't know what I'm getting with Dak anymore. It feels like he's fallen off a little bit. Maybe this is the beginning of the resurgence. But again, McCarthy's been there for a few years. They haven't been able to figure it out. Their OC's now up in the LA Chargers, I believe. So they're figuring things out. I just think early on at Dallas, get a little road win under our belt here. I think our defense is better than their defense. I think their defense is studded out, but I just think we just have the horses right now. So started off 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, talking about offensive line being tested, Micah Parsons is going to be a problem. Greg, Jake Ferguson, the tight end, he's a beast. He's coming out of a shell this year with Schultz gone. That should be good. Everyone is, for some reason, like everyone's talking to me about how Breece Hall's not going to come back from this injury, but everyone's telling me Tony Pollard's going to be the best player in the league. I don't understand. He was also hurt. Can't even believe he's playing week 1, but he seems fine. Deuce Vaughn behind him. I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to be 3rd in the division. And Claudio, I have a real problem with you telling me the Cowboys out of all teams are going to score 27. I don't think any team's going to score 27 on this Jets defense. Last year, I don't think any team scored over 24, and we sucked. Like we were so bad last year. We didn't have a safety. Like I don't think we understand. Like we did not have a safety. It didn't exist.
Did they play an offense as good as the Cowboys last year?
I would say the Bills are better.
Yeah, I think so.
So I guess you could call the Bills better. Yeah, that's fair. You can call the Bills better. I don't know if an injured Josh Allen is
But we injured him.
If you want to call him that.
Yeah, he didn't get. Yeah, he wasn't injured to start.
Look, so maybe refuse me, battle back. That's fine.
Listen, like the Dolphins game, I understand. Like we hurt Bridgewater on the first play in the end zone. People weren't even in the stadium yet, and then we had their third string for the rest of the game. I get that you're saying you had two injured quarterbacks for the Miami game. I can kind of see that narrative, but we demolished the Bills because we injured him illegally. Like it wasn't like a freak play. It was because we sacked him. And to be honest with you, it's going to happen again. Like we're going to sack him again. So he better not be in a throw in motion. Like that's how I feel. That's how confident I am about this team. Listen, if you want to throw dump passes to your running back, if you want to throw it to your tight end, if you want to play us in the middle of the field, you're going to own us. You're going to get chunk yards of 3 to 5 yards whenever you want against the Jets. But scoring 27 points, I don't know.
I haven't scored 24, first of all.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I didn't even see that happening.
Oh, they played the Vikings last year. What was the final score of that game?
I don't know, but I was at that game and I watched Berrios drop the touchdown right in front of my face. So I don't care what the score was. I just know I hate Bex and Berrios.
Look, if you want me to change it to 24-21, my point was more a 3-point game, and like they will be in their building, which I'm giving the Cowboys offense the respect. Now, granted, new offensive coordinator, I think my prediction could change after week 1. I want to see what they look like against the Giants. But, my point was more that this would be a 3-point game that the Jets will win because they'll make that last. They'll have the ball last, and they'll make a game-winning drive to win it.
Yeah, and I agree with Claudio too. I think a lot, and both of you guys, I agree with both of you guys. I think it's going to be a low scoring season for this Jets defense. This might be one of the higher scoring affairs. Like early in the season, Dallas, 2 good wide receivers, Tony Pollard expected to be 100% healthy. Deuce Vaughn's showing some flashes. We'll see. If we're going to give up 20-something points to a team, it might be Dallas at Dallas.
Well, there's another team I think the Jets are going to give up 27 points to. We'll
Yeah,
get to them.
we'll
Get to them in a little bit.
Is it New England week 3?
Totally.
It is not New England week 3. Week 3, and this is where, again, I understand that I'm wearing Jet stuff, and I understand I'm going to week 1. I understand I go to training camp, but I'm irrational. But I've been waiting 7 years for this game. 7 years, Claudio. I go to MetLife, and I'm ready for New England, and I talk my smack in the parking lot, and we lose. And we don't just lose. We lose like 4 interceptions and a half lose. We lose like Austin Seferian Jenkins fumble in the end zone lose. We lose like Tom Brady like 4 touchdowns and a half. Like, and he's flipping his own LeBron James water bottle on the sideline lose. Like it's horrible sometimes. And other times it's miserable, right? There's no like shining light when it comes to New England Patriots. So I've been waiting for this day. I'm so happy it's early. I'm so happy their IR offensive line is still going to be in the IR. I cannot wait for week 3. Bill Belichick at home. I don't care where the Jets are winning that game. I don't care if the spread, if the Jets are plus 37, where the Jets are winning that game, and we're going to be 3-0. And the masses are going to go crazy, and everyone's going to go nuts, and the odds for the Jets are all going to drop. And then week 4, we're going to hit reality. But we'll get there in a second.
Gee, how about you?
I just don't see it with New England. I mean, I get it's Bill Belichick. I get that it's Darth Vader out there in New England, just plotting his things, getting his troops ready. And, he's going to come to New York, and he's going to bring his A game. So are we. Like Robert Saleh said, Hard Knocks, people got to deal with us, man. Like this offense, I don't know what the relationship is between Rodgers and Belichick and New England and all that, but I know he wants to win. I know he wants to win against Bill Belichick. I know he wants to prove something, and I know these Jets fans do. I know this Jets team does. We know what they talked about last season going to these games when New England wasn't holding up against the Jets and they were still throwing it. I think Ulbricht's going to bring his A game. I think he's going to show him something with his defense. I just don't see New England having the horses, man. I look around their offense and like Hunter Henry and Juju Smith-Schuster. That's what we're supposed to be worried about. Like this offensive line.
I'm worried about
Judon. Not that good.
And him and his red sleeves. Listen, I have nightmares about Judon and his red sleeves. I'll admit it. I don't have no problem.
And the defense. The defense is going to be solid. Again, it's going to be, I think, a low-scoring affair. But I just don't see this offense. I don't see McCorkle moving the ball on us.
Dude, if we punted last year, if we could just freaking punt, we would have beat them. Just punt the damn ball. Punt it, bro. Like, if we could, oh, God.
Come on, Tommy. Get it done, Tommy Morstead. Get it done.
So, here's where I'm at, guys. So, I'm a Mets fan.
Yep.
And there's a PTSD whenever we play the Braves that no matter what the rosters look like, it's just ingrained in my brain that they have the upper hand. And let me take you back to 2006. The Braves had won 14 straight division titles. They had, for all intents and purposes, lost the core of a team that would finish over 500. They lost 85 games that year. So like the roster and the talent showed out that was not going to be a good team. And the Mets had just traded for Carlos Delgado, signed Billy Wagner, and brought in all this talent that was like, oh, this is going to be an overwhelming Mets team. And still, the majority of the projections before the season, the Braves will win the division, and we're going to project it until they lose. I'm picking the Jets to lose this game because I'm not picking them to beat New England until they've actually beaten New England. And then afterwards, I'm with you. Like, I can exercise that demon. It's gone. Like, on paper, I'm with you. I don't see it. All of your analysis, I agree with. I'm not picking them to beat the Patriots until they beat the Patriots. It's just my 2 cents on the matter. Call it a need for therapy. Call it a belief in a higher power that Belichick has sold a lower power that Belichick has sold his soul to.
Yeah.
I am not picking them to beat the Patriots until I've actually seen it happen. So 2-1 for me through 3 games.
If not for anything, Claudio, you are consistent because I remember talking during the whole Aaron Rodgers saga, And until he was at the press conference, you would not believe
I
it.
said I'm not. The Pat McAfee interview did nothing for me. It's like I would believe he is the Jets quarterback, but he is the Jets quarterback. Okay.
So I feel you. If I had better producing skills while you were talking there, I would put some dreamy music on and have you laying on a therapy couch telling us about Billy Wagner and how that relates to Aaron Rodgers
PTSD has continued into this new version of the Braves that all they do is hit home runs. The Mets had a series earlier this year, a 4-game series. They led by 3 runs in all 4 games. You know how many games they won in that series? 0. So no matter how many times one team is ahead of the other, I always expect for that other team to come back. And last year, that first half was so much fun. I thought we had a pick 6 on Mac that I thought was going to end his job in New England forever. And a John Franklin Myers pass interference takes it off the board. And then Zach Wilson has the worst half of his career. And it spiraled us down into this butterfly effect where Aaron Rodgers is now our quarterback. So maybe it was the best thing that could have happened, but
that's true. Another pick 6 that came back, that Gardner pick 6, also may have somehow saved Aaron Rodgers for coming to the Jets. I'm just putting that in my brain somehow. But John Franklin Myers, he already has 2 brought back touchdowns for penalties. He better shape it up this year because Greg's shaking his head. Greg flips out on John Franklin Myers.
I hate him so much until he stops doing it.
So, Greg, are we both 3-0 right now?
I'm 3-0. Chipper Jones ain't walking through this door. I have some faith that we take down New England this year. Give me the 3-0 start.
Outstanding reference. Yes,
yeah.
Andrew Jones ain't walking through that door.
Yeah, Andrew
Javi
Jones
Lopez.
None of the
ain't
Joneses are coming
door.
through this door. We got this.
Ryan Klesko ain't walking through that door.
Yeah.
John Rocker is walking through that door though, and his name's Bill Belichick.
Oh no.
He's the same scumbag. But anyway,
I think he hates other players on the Patriots. Yeah.
All right. Week 4. It all comes crashing down because right now everyone's freaking out at me. Right? I'm 2-0 at MetLife this year. The Jets are 2-0 at MetLife. We're 3-0 overall. We've beaten the Bills, the Cowboys, and the Patriots, like 2 of America's teams, maybe, plus honestly, all 3 of America's teams in a row. Honestly, I mean, maybe San Francisco number 4 there on that list. And now we have Kansas City. I mean, the top of the AFC. It's Sunday Night Football. It's Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes. Kelsey's going to be 100% by then. Everybody's going to be 100% by then, besides the Jets probably. They have the number 1 offensive line, in my opinion, the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult for that one. We're not going to guard him. We're not going to be able to. Our secondary is not going to be able to hold up. Our pass rush is not going to get home. Hopefully, Chris Jones is still out. But I think this is going to be the loss. We're going to be 3-1. Everyone's going to calm down. And honestly, I know this is kind of early. And how can you look ahead of the Chiefs? But I have a weird inkling, weird feeling that the Jets will be looking ahead to going to Denver, week 5. They've been circling it all off season. We can't wait to go to Denver. We do the Denver trip every year, it feels like, but this year's extra special with the hoopla with our offensive coordinator and their head coach, yada yada yada. But 3-1 for me, and it's going to be a close one. Jets are going to cover because it's going to be disrespectful. The Jets are going to be like -6.5, +7, +7.5, something disrespectful at home. And I'm going to take it, and we're going to cover. Chiefs win by 4 or something. What do you guys got there?
Yeah, I think our kryptonite's tight end, and they have the best one. Our kryptonite is dumping it off to the passers, and they have a couple quarterback or running backs that can catch from Pat Mahomes on these dump offs. So I agree. I think this is our first loss of the season. I think Kansas City, if Jones is back, their defense is pretty good. Their offensive line is stout, one of the best in the league. So that's going to be a true test for our defensive line. It's going to be rowdy. It's going to be rambunctious because, like you said, I think the spread's going to be closer. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think we're going to lose, but brings us down to reality a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit of a look ahead, maybe not. But yeah, first loss of the season for me, 3-1 through 4.
So you know what's funny? Regular season, especially early regular season, Chiefs has been very beatable the last couple of years. You know, so there's a part of me that wants to project that this is an either or game. I watched this exact same Chiefs team go into the Super Bowl last year. It's a Super Bowl, so it's tough to fully equate the two games and this game against the Jets and that game against the Eagles. But that was a very impressive Eagles team that they just marched up and down the field however they wanted to in that second half. And it's why I think this is the game the Jets give up 30. And
Fair.
I mean, to your point, G, about the tight end position, did you guys watch Quarterback, the series on Netflix?
Yeah.
I gained such a new experience and appreciation. I mean, honestly, for all three of the quarterbacks, Kirk Cousins in particular, but watching them go through the plays and what Mahomes was reading from the defense in the Super Bowl and those 2 touchdowns, and him seeing like, oh, they're in cover 0. We don't have the right personnel on the field, but recognizing that someone was going to be wide open. And then how like Kadarius Toney on the second touchdown pointed out, if you look the other way, you're going to have a wide open guy. Just like it showed the level of complication that the Chiefs offense has and how they've mastered it. And despite the fact that, you take away a Tyreek Hill and potentially number 1 wide receivers, like Juju's not going to be there this year. And I still think they're going to figure out a way for to be one of the best offenses in the league. I think this will be
the enemy too, though. The offensive coordinator. I think that's a bigger deal than people care about.
I think we'll find out a couple weeks in how big of a deal it is, though. And that was also the other big thing I said. Now, who knows? It's an edit, so who knows when you're watching Netflix how real it is to real life. It was notable how little we saw. Like we saw more of Nagy than Bieniemy in that documentary series. And like they have that 1 hour session every Thursday, whatever it's called, where you're able to, as a player, come up with these freestyle picks, which is how they came up with the Pokemon Go, where they're dancing around each other in the huddle. And it's like, oh, so that was actually something they planned and came up with and decided to test, not just in week 17, but in the Super Bowl. I have such an appreciation for the Chiefs, as I'm sure a lot of people do. And I'm not going to predict. While I do think early season Chiefs, if you're going to beat them, you do it then. I'm not going to predict the Jets to beat them. So I have them at 2-2 through 4 games.
My silver lining here is that the Jets are going to lose to the Chiefs, and then we're going to see them again in the playoffs. Just going to leave that there.
I like it.
Moving on. I mean, I'm sure that somehow the NFL fought someone to flex this game, because all eyes are going to be on this Jets Broncos game for mostly off the field drama. But honestly, the Jets play the Broncos every year, and this is where Breece Hall went down too. So we have a Breece Hall revenge game. We got a Nate Hackett revenge game. We got a Sean Payton ego game. We got Aaron Rodgers friendship game. Like there's so much going on here. This is going to be a blowout for the Jets coming off a loss to the Chiefs. I hope the spread shows that. I hope the spread shows that we just lost and we're on the road. And, give me some nice juice there, because I absolutely love the Jets here. And yes, I think the Jets are going to be 4-1. I know that sounds crazy, but the way this schedule is, I know the first 6 weeks look crazy. Everyone's been yelling at me about the first 6 weeks. I see us 4-1 at this moment.
I have them blowing out the Broncos as well. I co-sign everything you said. I don't really understand a positive Broncos spin other than Sean Payton. And I don't know. We've seen good coaches go to teams and it not fix everything in a year. That roster, correct me if I'm wrong, that roster is largely the same except Jerry Jeudy's hurt, right?
Yeah, Javonte Williams is back.
Yeah, I don't see it with that team. I think at best the coaching change bump is a 2-win bump, not like a playoff bump. And I think they're gonna. This is a statement game, like you said, between Hackett and Rodgers wanting, and to an extent, Breece Hall, if he's healthier by that point, wanting to exercise some demons of his own. So Jets by a lot.
Yeah, I think we hang 50 on them. We show no mercy. We keep throwing and we throw and we throw. I don't think Rodgers liked what Sean Payton did. I don't know if Sean Payton likes Russell Wilson. I don't know if you guys saw the quotes today about him kissing babies. He's cut that out and start focusing on being a quarterback. Stop worrying about Russell Wilson Inc. and start worrying about being a quarterback of the Denver Broncos. Like, I think they got enough going on in their own organization that they should stop talking about keep my coach's name out of your mouth, that kind of stuff. I agree with Rodgers. So I think it's the Rodgers revenge tour kicked off in Dallas, but I think it comes home here in Denver. We see a lot of points from this team.
I like it. There's not much more to be said there. And this game coming up here at home. If the New York Jets win this game, it's gonna actually blow my mind. Like, I'm gonna short circuit. Like, nothing's gonna make sense because the Jets have never, in the history of the New York Jets, beat the Philadelphia Eagles. We play each other a lot more than you think. We always lose to the Philadelphia Eagles. It's most of the time not ever even close. Their offensive line is amazing. Their defensive line is amazing. Their tight ends are great. Their running backs catch out of the backfield. That's basically all you need to beat the Jets. This is a loss, 4-2. But even if I was wrong about most of these predictions in the first 6 games, and we somehow beat the Eagles, like say we go 2-4, beating the Eagles and Chiefs and losing everything, my mind will still be blown. I'll still think we're going to the Super Bowl just because that doesn't make sense. If we beat the Eagles, something in the universe doesn't make sense. So I'm going to go 4-2 going into the bye week, staring at the New York Giants.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I think it's a loss. I think the Eagles are more prepared to repeat a Super Bowl run than the Chiefs this year. A lot of continuity on that team. I think learning how to get there and coming back strong. And to your point, John, we just don't beat the Eagles. It's crazy. It sucks that 2 of these losses are at home for me in my prediction so far, going 4-2 to start through our first 6. That means we need to make it up on the road, but I think there's some winnable road games coming up. We were road dogs last year, so
they were in the Super Bowl, Greg.
4-2.
They're in the Super Bowl. You're gonna be upset that the Jets have 2 losses, both at home, both to the Chiefs and the Eagles.
No, you would hope to get you'd hope to get some favorable matchups at home. It's not shaking out that way.
I also am. It's the same principle as the Patriots. I will not pick the Jets to beat the Eagles until they actually beat the Eagles. Look, there's also like a lot of football reasons to pick the Eagles to beat the Jets. They just like replicated the Georgia defense and put it in Philadelphia. And I think this will be close. Don't get me wrong. This isn't like Gardner Minshew going off and the Jets losing by 17 like the last couple of times that they played him. But I think this is a game that the Jets can win, but will lose close. I think this is the second game that I'm going to. My buddy that I grew up with is an Eagles fan, and I think this is. Hopefully, I'm 1-1. Hopefully, I'm 2-0. Don't get me wrong, and like hopefully this isn't like coming off of that experience on opening night when they lost. But I'll pick the Jets to lose, and I'm 3-3 going into the bye.
Claudio, what did Aaron Rodgers tell us about the energy and putting words and manifestation? Week 1's going to be great. MetLife is going to be great. No loss.
That'd be zen.
No loss.
I agree.
I agree. It's going to be a
He
party.
doesn't have the PTSD
by 7:30, bro.
He does not have the PTSD the Jets fans have, though. He went inside a room and closed the door and locked
he was in the darkness.
Out.
He was in the darkness for 4 days. We've been in the darkness for decades.
He's got rich people problems. He does not have Jets fan problems. Okay, I'm sorry. He won a Super Bowl. Now he did like play for a Packer team that consistently mismanaged the roster around him. So maybe that's a PTSD of his own. But the idea that he's beaten the Eagles before, Jets fans have not seen it. So maybe his calming presence will be enough to give them a chance against the Eagles. But I have them at 3-3 going into the bye.
All right. Then we get the bye. Then we got the Snoopy Bowl / MetLife Bowl / Jet Life Bowl / honestly, the game of the city. And for all fans, we all fight each other constantly. Jets fans and Giants. It's a constant fight. It's not like the Nets Knicks. It's not like the Rangers Devils or even the Rangers Islanders because it's not a real rivalry. Right? It's kind of fake. We only play once every 4 years. We play in the preseason. But there's some animosity between the fan bases, I believe, more than anything. And we all know Saquon Barkley's a Jets fan. So there's some split even in his own household. I need it as a win. I'm gonna be upset about the loss. I could see a loss, but I need the win. I need to be 5-2. And that's not that crazy from last year. And we had Zach Wilson. I know it sounds crazy, but we had Zach Wilson and we had almost the same record.
Yeah, I mean, it's the battle for Jet Life Stadium. I think we're gonna win that battle. It's rubbed some people. I mean, there's a little bit of rivalry brewing between the Jets and Giants on the field, off the field, all that
Oh yeah,
stuff.
Jihad Ward.
Yeah, so let's just, some of them after the fact weren't too happy with all the Jet Life comments and the Hard Knocks, So yeah, let's get this win. I think 5-2. The same with you, John, at this point throughout the season.
Yeah, I'm not far off. I have them 4-3. I have them winning this game. First game out to bye. Who knows if they have a new wide receiver when they take the field for this game? But I will. This is gonna start a trend of where I'm going with this. But I'm gonna take the Jets to win this game, and you'll see where I'm going next with the schedule. I do think the Giants are good. I have them as one of my playoff teams that I'm predicting.
Yep.
I also think they won a lot of close games last year. Like a team got outscored last year, and I think if this is a close game, I don't know how much I love the Jets' chances. I think the Jets are more talented than the Giants, and I think the talent will be enough to win that football game.
All right, and then it's just big game after big game for the Jets. I mean, we're at home, Monday Night Football versus the Chargers, and then Sunday Night Football at Vegas, like right in a row. I guess 2 primetime games for the Jets. I'm not used to that in a whole season. Nevertheless, back to back.
Back to back.
So it's weird to me. My dad has this thing about Jets and Giants in primetime games. He hates it more than anything because we always lose. So we better shape up this year because the Jets are all over primetime. Claudio, I'll just start with you. What do you got in this back-to-back? Chargers home Monday night, at Vegas Sunday night.
2 wins. They're 6-3.
I have a loss and a win.
So you have them losing to the Chargers?
Yeah, losing to the Chargers. A little bit of a surprise win, but I just think the offense is potent. I think their defense is better than people think. And it just keeps up with this trend of us losing games at home, which sucks. But I have them losing to the Chiefs. I have them losing to the Eagles. I have them losing to the Chargers all at home.
John, make your pick, and then I want to ask you both a question.
I have to find losses because I have to be a rational human. Because when I look at the schedule coming up, I barely see any losses. So I have to find losses. So I also want to pick the Monday night loss versus the Chargers, but I think we're gonna wear our stealth black. I think it's gonna be loud in there. It's tough, but I'll go with Justin Herbert tearing us up a little bit. I'll go with the Chargers win and the Vegas win, Chargers loss. But Greg, does that mean we're literally on the same for every single pick so far?
No,
yes.
I think. Oh yeah, you have the Chargers loss. Yeah.
No, this is a problem. Okay, so we have
this is a problem. We're gonna figure this out quickly.
Yeah, Claudio, what's up?
We do both all 3 end up at 6-3 though, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So through 9 games, we all have them at 6-3. Does the Aaron Rodgers on Monday Night Football streak matter to you guys with these projections? Guy hasn't lost since 2013.
I mean, he's been MVP 4 times, but nobody cares about that.
But I'm asking you two, like
I think
in your projections.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Just because.
So you have Justin Herbert ending his streak.
Yeah, I think I would be a hypocrite because John and I on the gambling stuff talk about Tom Brady not covering on prime time, or is that at night?
At night,
at night is prime time. Yeah. So that carried through to Tampa Bay. Maybe I was hating, maybe I was gambling. I don't know exactly. So I feel like it would be a little hypocritical if I don't carry any trends over that Rodgers has from Green Bay to the Jets.
Okay, so I only asked that because then you go to his last 2 losses on Monday Night Football. The last time he lost on Monday Night Football was November 4th, 2013. It was against the Chicago Bears, and it's a game he got hurt on his second throw of the game and missed the rest of the game. Yes, the collarbone game he missed like the rest of the season. He missed like the next 3 weeks. And that's the season that they went 8-7-1 and beat the Bears on the last week of the season to win the division. So there was this game, and then they won that last game to win the division. And the other time that they lost before that was, I don't know if you guys remember, 2011, I think this was. No, 2012, early 2012. So the NFL and the referees union was in a dispute. So for the first 3 weeks of the season, they used replacement referees.
How could you forget?
And
Yeah.
at the end of a game between the Seahawks and the Packers on Monday night, Russell Wilson throws up this is rookie Russell Wilson throws up a deep ball, a Hail Mary, down 12-7. It became known as the Fail Mary because Golden Tate pushes a clear offensive pass interference, pushes the defender out of the way, goes up and catches it simultaneously as a Packer defender. Now, admittedly, it was like an either or call, except he missed the offensive pass interference.
Yep.
I thought it was a clear interception and that Golden Tate put his hands on the ball after the defender did it. And the two replacement referees, one signaled touchback, one signaled touchdown. And that's Aaron Rodgers' last full game loss on Monday Night Football. So, like, forces of nature have forced this man to lose on Monday Night Football. I think this is where I'm going to follow the trend that, like, the Jets don't beat the Patriots, the Jets don't lose to the Eagles. The Jets don't beat the Eagles, but they have a quarterback that doesn't lose on Monday Night Football. So I'll follow that trend
I like
from
that.
now and have the Jets also as you guys at 6-3-2-9.
All right, fair enough. Back to reality for me as well. At Buffalo,
Loss.
this is going to be the L.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm just being nice.
Yeah, 6-4.
Yeah, I'll take the L here. I'll take the 6-4. Then we have a nice little 3-game home stretch, including Black Friday versus Miami. And listen, after last year's debacle with the 3-game home stretch that we were supposed to win, it better flip. We went 0-3, including a 4th and inches. Thank you to our linebackers, the third string tight end that we lost to the Lions. Of course, it's not living rent free in my head. I need to win all 3 of these games. Atlanta sucks. Miami, whatever. It's a division rival. It's at home. We'll see who their quarterback is. If it's Mike White, we better win by 4.5 touchdowns. I'm just throwing that out there. If Braxton Berrios is starting and Mike White is starting, we better win by 4.5 touchdowns. Atlanta stinks. They have Desmond Ridder. Everyone wants to look past that for some weird reason. And Houston, I actually like, but we're not losing to CJ Stroud. It's just not happening. I actually like their offensive line. I like their running back. I like their defense. I like their coach. I love the Houston Texans this year. I'm going to be betting their spread a lot. Shout out to Winning Picks Weekly. I need 3 wins in a row here, 9-4.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we win 3, and I think we keep winning. But yeah, I think we win these 3 for sure.
Greg, we need to change the rest of the schedule, or it's just never going to happen. Claudio, what you got?
So
Maybe-
I never
maybe
answered
not,
for
John.
Buffalo. I never answered for Buffalo.
Oh, okay. What do you got for
sorry,
Buffalo?
sorry.
I have them winning in Buffalo. I have the Jets on a bit of a winning streak here. I think they're going to beat Buffalo twice this year. This is
Okay.
my belief in the New York Jets. I think there's some trends that I'm following, but every single number that everybody keeps throwing out about what the Jets are against Josh Allen, they could have beaten the Bills last year in Buffalo. Now, granted, that was, again, an injured version of Josh Allen. I think the Jets will be rolling after 3 straight wins, and this will be similar to the Vikings win in Buffalo last year, a statement win. They're like, oh, this is the team to beat in the division, and maybe there's some thoughts at the 1 seed for the Jets. So I have them at 7-3, and then eventually 10-3 before they go into Miami in December.
Claudio, so we flip. Claudio's now 10-3. John, we're 9-4. We're playing catch up now.
Now you are, yes.
Yep. Yep.
Yes, I do have a 7-game winning streak in here. That's
What about
I'm
at
predicting.
Miami? You got, does that kick it to
That's
8?
the loss. That's because
Okay.
I think the Dolphins are going to need that game for
I'm with
playoff
you there.
positioning potentially, and just losing streaks are hard in the NFL. So I think they'll get to 7 straight, go to 10-4.
I'm with you actually there.
I agree with you too. At Miami in December, it's tough to switch up the weather like that.
Greg, it needs to be different, Greg. We need to have different answers in the last quarter of the season. All right.
It's not
We
going to
have
happen.
Miami together as L's. I have the win Washington Christmas Eve. Thursday night at Cleveland, December 28th. I know there's redemption on the mind for Cleveland. I'm going for the win. And week 18, I'm giving it to New England because we're not going to need that game.
I think we win out. I think we win out the rest of the way. There's our difference,
Woo!
John. The last game of the season, we get it in. You and I are different. I have a win, you have
Thank
a
God.
loss.
So what's that record?
I'll Claudio, why don't you talk about yours? I'll
So
tally it up.
I'm at 10-4 through 15 weeks.
Yep.
Then Washington I have as a win, 11-4. Then I have a loss against Cleveland. So I echo that to put them at 11-5. I think they will have the division clinched by this point. Because then I have them losing to Cleveland, to New England, which would give them 2 division losses, but make them that would give them 3 losses in the division. So they'd need this win. All right, so here's the trend that gets broken. They exercise the New England demon by winning week 18 against Belichick to clinch the division. It'll be in New England. This sets them up perfectly as a 2 seed in the playoffs, a 12-5 team with Aaron Rodgers as its quarterback that gets to host a playoff game. So I'll pick the Jets to win week 18 to clinch the division.
So what's your record?
12-5.
I have it at 12-5 too. John, you're at 11-6.
On what planet, on what world am I the one that's the most pessimistic? But here we are.
In Aaron Rodgers world, baby, in the upside down where we thrive. Where we thrive as Jets fans this season, John. It's happening.
We're in the upside down. Claudio and Greg have us at 12-5.
Hold on. Can I flip something?
Flip.
Sure.
They clinch by week 17. They'll win that Cleveland game instead. They'll be 12-4.
That's what
have the division clinched, and then they'll know they can't move up or down in the standings on week 18. I'm thinking,
Claudio.
And then Belichick gets to go 2-0 against the Jets again, and that streak continues. So
no, he's gonna.
They go 0-2 against the Patriots.
With an asterisk, though. With an asterisk this time, we rested
week
our
18.
players.
Yeah, of course.
But that's what I'm saying. It's going to be the Belichick redemption game where he's trying to get his get back at the Aaron Rodgers Jets, and we're just going to bench our guys, give us our preseason roster because we have nothing to play for, bro. Oh, you need to make the playoffs still? Go ahead. We already locked up the division. That's what I'm thinking here. Claudio, thank you so much for joining us on the Jets pod. We know you're the Knicks film school guy. We know you're the Mets guy. We know you're the movie guy, but you're also the Jets guy. You're going to game 1. You're going to opening day. I'll see you at MetLife. Your boy 635 Smoke. You'll be able to see him there. The Bills Mafia. I'm sure you have some words for him. Any last words here?
Again, guys, I'm extremely excited about this football season, and I know that like football could happen and someone could get hurt, and all this excitement that we just talked about could be for nothing. But even projecting a schedule, the best case scenario version of the schedule, was a ton of fun. And thank you for having me, as we always do. And I hope that the actual football that is played by our football team matches the excitement of doing a podcast about the football that they're going to play.
And the Knicks start during the bye week. I mean,
they do.
It get any more perfect?
They knew what to do. And the Mets and Yankees will be in playoffs. No, never mind.
Yeah.
Long gone by then.
Baseball's dumb. We don't like baseball here, especially not this year. All right, you guys all know where to find him.
Thanks, Claudio.
Andrew J. Claudio _ at Knicks Film School. Congrats on the wedding. Congrats on Knicks Film School. We absolutely love you guys. We can't wait for the next season, man. Let's go.
Thank you, sir.
Let's go, Jets. Like, subscribe on our YouTube channel, Knicks Comment, Jets Comment, etc. Period. We have winning picks weekly on there. Full college slate on Thursdays. Full NFL slate on Wednesdays. Let's go. Tune in for the Jets recap right after Monday night. It's going to be late. I'm going to be solo because Greg's going to be sleeping. But I'm going to be either really loud, either really upset loud, or really happy loud. We'll see how it goes. All right, we out.